Blog Talk Radio.
And welcome to episode 8 of Real Combat Media Radio, the boxing news radio show of www.realcombatmedia.com, where you can receive boxing and MMA news 24/7 from around the globe. Follow us on Twitter at any time at Real Combat Media, and also follow our Facebook fan page by typing in realcombatmedia.com to your Facebook search bar. Once again, I'm your host, John Campbell, all the way from Manchester, England. Follow me on Twitter, at BoxingJohnUK, spelled Jon. Also, like my Facebook fan page, which you can find by typing in BoxingJohnUK. Once again, I'm with the Boxing Maniac from the Bronx in New York. How's it going, D?
You already know, baby, the Maniac is here, man. Excited for another show, Real Comeback Media Boxing. Let's get right to it, John, man. You know, we witnessed history this weekend.
We did.
We
witnessed history. One of my favourite fighters. We saw the old and the new. We saw Thurman, who put himself on the scene and stopped being a prospect and started becoming a contender. And we saw Bernard Hopkins win a world title at 48 years old. I think the guy's going to outlive all of us. I'm 20 years old, and I think he's going to last longer than me, that guy.
Yeah, he's man. What people don't understand, you know, they watch Bernard Hopkins, and he seems to amuse us every time out. Now, I was a little upset because after the fight, you know, I seen a couple of people on Twitter talking about that the reason why Hopkins beat Cloud was for the simple fact that Cloud was a perfect style matchup for him. You know, it wasn't more what Hopkins did, it was more what Cloud didn't do. But people don't seem to realize that Hopkins is a mastermind boxer in the ring. And he was able to minimize what Cloud was able to do, even at 48 years old.
Absolutely.
So to discredit, to even try to discredit Bernard Hopkins from doing what he did, it sucks, man. It's not right. That's like saying if Mayweather puts a whooping on Guerrero, we can say, well, Guerrero was a perfect style matchup for Floyd, you know. But of course, the Floyd zombies, you know, they will never say that, you know. So that's my point. And even if Floyd does destroy Guerrero, I'll give him credit. I mean, I'm not going to go over the board. But look at Hopkins, John. We're talking about a 48-year-old man performing at a high level against young lions. He's not fighting other older guys. He's not fighting washed-up, batted guys. He's fighting young lions. Look at his. Let's just put it like this: his last 5 fights. 2 fights with Pascal, well, 1.5, I want to say, with Dawson, and then Cloud. These guys are all in the prime, all tough fighters. I mean, what else do you want from this man? Holy Joe, this guy, man, he's a legend, man, and we know that.
Yeah, he's the second best. He's the second best in his division at the moment, currently, and he's 48 years old. What can you say? What actually can you say? It's unprecedented. Right, okay. Today our lineup is as follows. We've got Women's World Bantamweight Champion and top 10 pound-for-pound star Ava Knight. We've got the WBC Featherweight Champion Ponce talking about his upcoming fight with Abner Mares. And we've got Keith K.O. Thurman coming on to talk to us about his win against Jan Zaveck and what's potentially next for his future. Ponce de Leon is a Spanish-speaking fighter, so what we're going to do is bring on our translator. Hello, Eddie. This is John.
Yes, Eddie.
Yeah. Hello. You're live on the air. We're going to contact Ponce de Leon, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate it because otherwise we won't be able to speak to Mr. de Leon, and it is a pleasure since he's a world champion. So thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome anytime.
I'm going to introduce you to my co-host D, the boxing maniac from New York. I don't know if you've heard him speak before.
Okay, hello.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm doing fine.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
yeah, John.
Yeah, we're gonna call him now. Welcome him to the radio. Welcome him to the radio show, and then pass it on to me. Introduce D, and then pass it on to me. And when we're both done asking questions, you're free to ask a few questions if you like. All you need to do is make sure that you translate the question and the answer so everyone knows.
Okay.
We're gonna give him a call right away.
Okay.
Hello.
Bueno, buenas tardes, Daniel Castellón. Estamos hablando de Real Combat Media con John Campbell. Yo soy el interpretor y disculpa porque mi inglés no está tan bueno porque estamos en Inglaterra.
Oh, está bien. Ajá.
Sí, John Campbell, moving like Tyson.
Okay, congratulations on winning the WBC Featherweight title and becoming a two-weight world champion. Are you really happy? Do you feel that this really gives you credibility in terms of being remembered in history?
Dice que cómo te gusta ser campeón del WBC y te gusta que el crédito que te dan por la pelea contra Johnny González.
Sí, me siento muy bien, a gusto, contento por ese campeonato que gané. Y ahora que lo voy a tener con Abner Mares, pues me siento más mejor porque voy a pelear contra un peleador que está invicto, que es buen peleador y pues eso me motiva.
He said he's very happy with the results and next to Abner Mares, who is undefeated in the tough fight.
Mm-hmm. Now, he had a long reign as a WBO Super Bantamweight world champion before he lost to Juan Manuel Lopez. Could you ask him if he intended to stay Super Bantamweight, or if he always intended to move up to Featherweight at some point?
Dice que tenías mucho tiempo que estabas el campeón hasta que te ganó Juan López. ¿Te gustaría estar quedarte en 126 o subir a Junior Lightweight?
Sí, voy a subir, pero ahorita todavía no tengo problema para el peso, así que pienso que voy a estar un tiempo más y para tal vez en un año más ya suba de división al otro peso.
He said that right now he's going to stay at 126. He's good with the weight right now. He's not having problems. Maybe in a year or so.
Mhm. Okay. Recently he's had two losses to real superstar fighters, Yuriorkis Gamboa and Adrian Broner. These two have been talks about fighting each other for a long time. Which one does he think's a better fighter based on how he performed against them both?
Dice que tú has perdido contra dos grandes peleadores, Yuriorkis Gamboa y Adrian Broner, y pienso que quién es mejor, Yuriorkis Gamboa o Adrian Broner.
Bueno, ellos son muy buenos peleadores, campeones mundiales, y pues con Broner no tuve problemas. Yo cuando se sacó la pelea pensé que yo había ganado, pero ahora yo creo que Gamboa se mueve mucho en el ring, tiene mucha rapidez de piernas, pero aprendí mucho de las peleas, ahora tengo mucho más experiencia y me sirvió más pelear con ellos que cualquier otra pelea.
Sí, yo también creí que ganaste a Adrian Broner también. He said that most of them are tough fighters. He doesn't know it because he thinks he'd be Adrian Broner, and a lot of people believe that too, and he doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. You've only been beat by top fighters, Mr. De Leon. Is there any of them that you would like a rematch with? I know particularly that Adrian Broner was one that many people feel that you won.
Dice que los perdidos que tienes son contra los mejores peleadores y te gustaría tener revancha con uno de ellos. ¿Con quién?
Bueno, primero pues ya ellos se fue muy más arriba de peso. Broner se fue a 35. Gamboa también quiere subir, están 130, pero ahorita yo soy campeón de las 26 y pues vamos a ver, cuando suba de peso tal vez ya me voy a retar para agarrar revancha con ellos, pero ahorita estoy bien cómodo en mi peso.
Oh, okay. He said that right now they're all moving up in weight. They're all, because Gamboa's moving in weight, Adrian Broner's moving in weight, and that he'll wait after Abner Mares to move up in weight, and then he'll see his options.
Could you ask him to rate Mares as a fighter? What does he think of Mares as a fighter?
¿Qué piensas de Mares de peleador?
Pues bueno, es un peleador bueno, pero este mito ha sido 2 veces campeón mundial, 18, 22, pero pienso que está arriesgando porque está haciendo mi división y yo también más fuerte, más duro, y pues yo no voy a respetarlo, yo lo voy a castigar arriba de él.
He said that he's a great fighter, 118-pound champion, 122-pound champion, but he's moving up to his weight class, and he's going to punish him.
To what extent does Mr. De Leon believe that experience will play a factor in this fight, as Mares is a young, hungry lion, and De Leon's a lot more seasoned?
Dice que crees que tu experiencia será mejor que Abner Mares, un peleador joven.
Pienso que sí, mi fortaleza, mi condición física, mi experiencia me ayudan mucho. Ahora estoy mucho mejor que antes, me siento mejor que cuando era campeón en las 22, ahora estoy más completo.
He said he feels yes, experience will be a factor in that. His strength and skill will also be a factor in his conditioning. He said he feels he's in his best shape right now from being 122.
Looking forward, what long-term goals do you have? What would you like to achieve from now until you end the sport of boxing?
Desde ahorita hasta que acabe tu boxeo, ¿qué quieres cumplir?
Después de que yo me retire, pues tengo mi gimnasio en Los Ángeles. Quiero ser un empresario de boxeo, seguir lo que me gusta a mí y tener otros campeones mundiales. Es mi meta después de que me retire. Seguir metido en el boxeo, promoviendo el boxeo.
He said he wants to be remembered as a great champion, and that he wants to keep on working with boxing and stay in boxing for a while.
Okay, gracias Daniel, gracias Mr. De Leon. I'd like to pass you on to my co-host Dee from New York.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. And we'll let you tell me, you need everything, tell me.
He said, thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Ponce, por estar con nosotros y buena suerte con Abner Mares. Yo creo que tú vas a ganar.
Ok, muchas gracias, le agradezco mucho y claro, estoy confiado también, me estoy preparando bien duro para esta pelea y pues quiero estar conocido aquí y pues les agradezco tu entrevista y pues quieren hablarme, ya saben, ahí pueden hablarme cuando quieran.
He said, you're welcome, that he will come out victorious and he will be number one.
Okay, could you give Dee a chance to ask some questions? Dee, what have you got to say to Mr. De Leon?
Yeah, Eddie, you there, right, Eddie?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Just ask De Leon, with Mares coming up in weight, and we know that De Leon packs a punch. Is he going to come straight at Mares in this fight? Is he just going to come out attacking and just test Mares' chin at 126?
Está bien.
Ajá.
Otra pregunta más. ¿Crees que tu fuerza puede ganar la pelea? Porque Abner Mares está moviendo el peso a 126. ¿Crees que nunca has tenido una fuerza como tuya?
Yo sé que va a entrenar fuerte, se va a preparar para agarrar fuerza a mi fortaleza, pero después de mientras yo empiece a golpearlo duro, 2, 3, 4 rounds, lo va a gastar y yo siempre voy de menos para más. Así que del 15 en adelante yo voy a estar como un tren encima de él y no creo que me vaya a aguantar el ritmo.
You see, like he will train hard to his strength and everything, but he believes that Abner Mares at the 3-4 round he'll get tired and he'll be able to hurt him and finish him.
All right. Also, tell him how does he feel, being on a huge undercard. I mean, he's the co-feature of Floyd Mayweather versus Guerrero. So, is he going to embrace this moment and try to give the crowd what they want, being that he's such on the big stage?
Dice que está haciendo una cartelera bien grande de Mayweather Guerrero. Si vas a pelear para la gente, darles un buen pelea o vas a boxear y...
Sí. Ahorita lo que me interesa es darle un buen show a toda la gente. Eso es mi prioridad. Ganar la pelea, pero también dar una buena pelea a toda la afición que nos va a ver. Mucha gente nos va a ver pelear, así que quiero darle una buena pelea, un buen show de box a toda la gente y ganar.
He said that he wants to put up a show for the fans, put up a entertaining fight, and also come out victorious. He wants the fans to appreciate him.
All right. Now, ask him, there's a lot of, tough fighters at 122 as well. Is, him against Nonito Donie in the future something is that a fight he's willing to take down the road?
Yo sí, ¿te gustaría pelear contra Nonito Donaire en el futuro si sube el Nonito Donaire a 126?
Oh, claro que sí, quiero pelear con él, con los mejores. Si él sube, la pelea que se da, adelante, yo peleo con él, sí.
He said yes, he would love to fight Donaire and he wants to fight the best at whatever weight.
Whatever. So how far, how far weight does he see himself going? Where will he max out at? At 135, 130, or even 140?
Dice que ¿cuánto peso te gustaría subir que tú miras que eres el mejor? 130, 135, 140.
Los mejores peleadores. ¿Cómo me dicen?
Que en el futuro, ¿dónde quieres estar? ¿En 130, 135, 140?
No, en 130 quiero subir después, ir despacio, 130. Y eso me hace mi peso, que subir a las 135 pero ahorita. Y aquí en un año más voy a estar en las 130 y después ya tal vez 135. Tengo 32 años de edad, así que voy a ir embarneciendo y subiendo más de peso.
He said he would love to move to 130. No, that's a good division. He would like to do some damage at 130 and maybe in the future also go up to 135. But right now he feels good and very strong at 126.
All right. Also, there's a fight being discussed. As we know, he fought Adrian Broner, and most of us felt he won. Do you think, what does he think of that Broner Malignaggi fight? Does he think Malignaggi has a good chance?
Dice que ha escuchado que la pelea está que va a pelear Broner contra Malignaggi. ¿Quién crees que gana, Broner o Malignaggi? Que si tiene una chance de Malignaggi para ganar.
Pienso que es una buena pelea, pero ahorita no sé, tal vez Broner está muy fuerte también. Va a ser una pelea bien pareja, pero yo pienso que en los estilos ganaría Broner por los estilos.
He believes that it'll be a really close fight, and he also believes that Malignaggi is a good fighter, and Broner will come out victorious by decision.
All right. And on my final question here, man. After Mares, because I got De Leon to beat him, not just because he's on the show. I've been said De Leon to beat Mares. After he beats Mares, who does he want next? He's with Top Rank, right? No, he's with Golden Boys. So who does he want next after Mares?
Dice que él cree tú eres uno de los mejores peleadores y que él cree que le vas a ganar a Abner Mares, que cuando le ganes a Abner Mares, ¿contra quién quieres pelear?
Con el número 1 del mundo que está en el CNL, no sé quién sea, pero también tengo una revancha contra Johnny González, tal vez que le contrae la revancha.
Okay. He said it doesn't matter. He's willing to fight with the S, but right now, after Abner Mares, he also take a rematch with Johnny González.
All right, cool, man. That sounds good. De Leon, gracias por tu tiempo y buena suerte el 4 de mayo.
Muchas gracias. Gracias, claro que sí.
Muchas gracias, De Leon.
Okay, gracias.
Eddie, I'd like to give you a chance to ask some questions, Eddie.
I'm okay.
Okay, could you thank him? Gracias, Mr. De Leon.
Okay, gracias a usted.
Sí. Muchas gracias, adiós.
Ajá, okay, dale. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, WBC Featherweight Champion of the World, Ponce de Leon, ring veteran with a record of 44-4. Now, he's been overlooked for this Mars fight, but he's a two-weight world champion. He had 7 title defenses at Super Bantamweight D. This is a 50-50 fight, a 60-40 fight least.
Hello?
Yeah. I believe it'll be a tough fight for both of them. We see Mares fade sometimes in the later rounds, and we don't know he's always in great condition. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I don't know. I think Abner Mares takes the fight by decision. It's a tough fight where Abner Mares will win by aggressiveness. Also, will be looking to box and counterpunch. I think it'll be a great fight.
Do you think it's going to be a case of talent shining through, but do you think he's going to weather the storm by De Leon? Because we know that De Leon's going to come and bring it and make it difficult for the young Abner Mares.
I believe there'll be times where Abner Mares gets hurt and feels his power, but I think he has a great chin. He always comes at his best in his fights, and he's a come-forward fighter, and will be a great fighter. But I think he'll feel his power, and he'll probably be stunned a few times, but Abner Mares will keep on coming forward.
Eddie Aceves, everyone, the other star of the show, I'd like to thank you for translating. Would you like to stay on and talk boxing with us, Mr. Aceves?
Yes, I would love to stay here and talk about boxing, and you're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's the least you can do. You're more than welcome, and we really do appreciate. In the future, if we get any of the Spanish fighters, then you're more than welcome to come and do that with us.
Yes.
We're just trying to establish a connection with D because there was a problem. Here. Oh, yeah, you're right, D. Is there anything you'd like to say about De Leon?
Well, it's a very intriguing matchup. As we know, we haven't seen Mares move up to 126 yet. This will be his first fight. But one thing we could credit to that is that we know Mares is always willing to fight the best fighters, man. Even if Mares goes up, loses by knockout, loses by close decision, better yet, even win the fight, I mean, his stock is only going to raise that much. And you have to put him on pound-for-pound list without a question. I just feel Ponce de Leon packs a punch. And we know Mares has a great chin because we saw that when he fought Darchinian. Now, that was at bantamweight. At 122, Mares didn't really fight a real hard puncher. Now his first fight at 126 is against a hard puncher in De Leon. And we know De Leon can knock you out with one kind of punch. And Mares is kind of a fighter that wears you down as the fight goes. So it's gonna be intriguing. The questions are, can Mares weather the storm, like you said, John? Can his chin hold up against a fighter of De Leon's caliber? If it can, this fight is even, straight down the board. Because, like Eddie said, Mares is going to work. He's a worker, man. He's like a construction worker. He's just going to work, he's going to work, he's going to work, he's going to work. And De Leon doesn't back out himself. You know, he's in there. You know, Mexican. That's the way they fight, man. So it's a great fight, man. Only the fans win. But I just still think De Leon's power he's going to wobble Mares at least. Or even drop him. And if he can't hold up, then De Leon wins. But it should be a great fight, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those fights that you look at and think, this is going to steal the show, this fight. It's a really close fight. It is straight down the middle, 60-40 at least. And you're right, Ponce de Leon has come from a lower weight class, like Abner Mares has. But in 44 wins, he's got 35 knockouts. He is a really hard puncher. And he was known for being a hard puncher all the way through his career. But as he's moved up in weight and got slightly older, he's matured as a fighter and he's got a lot better. But speaking of hard hitters, we've got Keith Thurman on the line. Let's give him a call and see what he's got to say about his win at the Barclays Centre on Saturday.
I'm not here to take it.
Okay, we can't get Keith Thurman on the line right now, but we're going to get him. We're going to get him very, very soon. Should we try one more time, or should we try and get Ava Knight on the line?
Okay.
Let's get Ava Knight on the line. Right. We've got the bantamweight female bantamweight champion, and she's also a rising star in the game. She's in her early 20s, and she's already in the pound for pound list. Bear with me. Okay, Ava Knight, everyone, how's it going, Mrs. Knight?
First of all, Miss Knight, I'd like to thank you for appearing on Real Combat Media Radio to do this interview with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on winning the WBC Silver Flyweight title against Susana Vasquez. Are you in a state of resting currently, or are you staying straight in the gym?
I'll probably rest for about a week and get back in the gym. There's a lot of things from the fight that I feel I need to work on, a lot of bad habits, and I just want to make sure the next time I fight I'll be better than before.
You've won a number of world titles in the flyweight division, and with only one loss to 11 wins, at the age of 24, you've established yourself as the best flyweight in the world and the youngest member of the pound-for-pound top 10. Did you believe, starting your career less than 6 years ago, that you'd be at this stage by now?
I don't know if I knew that I would be at this point right now, but I knew that I would get there eventually. I always felt that I was a very good boxer and I had a natural talent, and with all the people around me teaching me, I always felt that I could make it.
Now you've won the IBF flyweight title and the WBC Diamond title, but your last fight was for the vacant WBC title, and you've not posted a loss since you won your first title. Why do you keep giving up your titles? Because I'm guessing that you're making them vacant, but what's the deal with that?
It sort of was an accident. I don't know. The IBF went vacant because I fought for the last title, and I really didn't know what was going on. I knew I was coming to fight. I thought I was going to be defending the title, but I guess we didn't, and we were fighting for another title, and because of the rules of the IBF, and we didn't defend the title with the fight of another championship, I guess I got stripped. But I guess apparently, the titles really don't mean anything as long as I'm keeping at the top and staying the champion at heart, because right now there's no one at 112 that can beat me, and even the champions that there are, I don't think anybody's going to be above me.
Oh, of course, it's The titles are paper titles. Effectively, you are the best flyweight in your division. You are the number one, and you are the person to beat. So, I believe that you're correct when it comes to the titles. Now, you're from California, and you fought a number of places in the US, but you fought your last 5 fights in Mexico. Now, what's the reason for this? Is it because all of the top fighters in your division tend to fight in America despite being American themselves? Or is Mexico becoming the home of women's boxing, or is it just a coincidence?
I think Mexico is right now is the best place for women's boxing. And some South American countries also, but they just respect women so much. In the United States, women boxers are treated like second-class citizens, and in Mexico, we're treated just as good as the men. The fighters out there, they're just as good, and they fight with a lot of heart. And it just happens to be that I just keep going down there because my promoter is down there, HG Promotions, but also because they like the way I fight, and they like the shows that I put on, and it does very well for them. Yeah.
Now I noticed that you was on quite a good card. You was on the undercard of quite a good card in Chihuahua, Mexico, was it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch many of the fights, the main event that was there?
I know the main event. I was in the room, and we get bombarded with autographs and photos right after the fight. But I did watch the fight after on the TV when we got back to the hotel, and it was another great fight. The card was full. I think it was 11 fights that night, and they were all pretty good. A lot of them were knockouts. But the next day we saw the newspaper, and my fight happened to be the best fight of the night that came out on there. So it just shows that women are just as good.
Yeah, over the past decade, women's boxing is becoming a much bigger sport, and the casual fans are beginning to take notice with the rise of people like yourself and Cecilia Braukos and other fighters, where previously the sport had been completely off the radar and on no one's minds. How does it feel to be a part of this process?
It's good. It's really hard. It's hard to get our names out there and for us women to get the respect that we deserve, especially in the United States. I think in Europe they even get more credit than they do here in the United States. We're still fighting for television in the United States, and other countries have already put women on TV. And I think that's the biggest issue is HBO and Showtime are saying that there are no stars in women's boxing, which is totally wrong. And the women need to step up, and we need to start voicing our opinion about that.
Yeah, well, that's quite unfair because, in actual fact, it's the TV that makes the stars. It's not the star that makes the TV. If HBO put you on and allowed people to watch you fight, then obviously you'd be a much bigger star than you are. That's how it works. It's all about exposure. But you get people like Cecilia Braukos. She's promoted by Sauerland, who promotes a lot of big fighters. They promote Kessler, they promote Arthur Abraham, they promote Hernandez, they promote multiple world champions, and she's allowed to box on the cards with them. Do you feel that it is the American attitude specifically which don't give women the fair share?
Yeah, I think it's the United States specifically. We're the only ones that are behind on this, and I don't know why. We've had some big names. The women before, like Layla Ali and Mia St. John, made good money, and now, when they retired, it's like the women got thrown in the garbage, and we're still fighting just to make a quick buck, just because we want to fight for a sport we love. While the men get free passes when they get to be prospects and they get bumps thrown at them, and it's hard for us women to take that in. That's why we go fight in other countries. Yeah,
whilst women's, as I said, women's boxing is progressing and it is getting bigger, it's still quite far behind the men's game. Just like a lot of other sports, there's only say tennis and other sports where they're actually sort of equally paid and equally publicised. But it also appears that women's MMA is also growing like women's boxing. They both seem to be growing alongside each other. Why do you think this is? Do you think that this is more of a sporting attitude, or do you think this represents a more deeper societal change in attitudes?
I think it's a little deeper. There's think there's more to it. Like you said, it's TV who makes a star, and it has nothing to do with the talent. Because once they throw in a good fighter with those prospects that they've been building, and they get crumbled, who's to blame? It's the television for marketing a boxer that really didn't live up to the hype. And for us women, it's like they don't think we're worth it. Maybe it's the economy, but they're not giving us the quality and respect and valuing us as highly as men.
Would you say that the reason for this is the big people in boxing tend to be of my grandfather's generation or your grandfather's generation, where in maybe 30 or 40 years' time, when our age grows up and become the people that run TV stations and run promotional companies, that the attitude will change? It's just as the people who own the companies are 2 generations above, the 2 generations behind in terms of making the reforms to suit women.
Yeah, I mean, that could be it. But there was a time before when women were making good money, and we've gone backwards. There was a struggle to get us out, and once they had the big names, they were good, and then once they retired, it just went back to zero. And the people who left sport with the money and the fame never came back to help the rest of us.
Yeah, now, your biggest win came in October against Mariana Juarez. This fight really let you prove your worth, as you was able to win, but you didn't have it all your way, so it's shown that you was able to fight against a really good, much more experienced fighter than yourself, and a very good fighter, and it wasn't a complete mismatch at the same time, so it's shown that you had problems and was able to get through them. Is this win symbolic to you in a sense that you've got over a hump, and now you've got this win under your belt, you feel that you can fight everyone and beat everyone in the world?
No, I don't feel like that at all. I think every fighter is different. She is a great fighter, and the win did mean a lot to me, but getting in the ring with someone else is a totally different fight, and, one day I might not be able to cross that hump, and that's why I stay in the gym to make sure that won't happen. But like I said, everyone's different, and maybe the girl who comes in is a whole different style, and it's a whole different game. I need to take it on differently.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Now, what's next for Ava Knight? Now, you've already won world titles, you're in the top 10 pound for pound, and you're only 24 years old, so do you see a long career? Do you see multiple world titles, multiple weight classes? What goals would you like to achieve from the rest of your career?
Well, of course, I want to keep winning and winning titles, but the ultimate goal is to get women on that higher stool. I want us to step up and be on TV and get the respect that we deserve, and I'm just going to keep fighting and displaying the talent that I have, so they have a reason to want to put women on TV, so the next generation can have it better.
That's really good. So you want to actually establish women's sport, not only for yourself, but for future boxers to come along and sort of inspire a generation and be the face of that.
Yeah, that's the goal. I just want the next generation of women to be able to have a chance and have a career in this.
Now, what do you think you'd be doing if you didn't decide to become a boxer?
I couldn't tell you. I went to school for a while and didn't like it. I worked for a while also, but my heart's always been in the gym and with boxing, so I don't know what else I would be doing if I wasn't in the gym.
Do you not have any sort of ideas or plans what you'd like to do after boxing, or would you like to continue to work in the industry in a different way, like training, for example, like Anne Wolf did?
Yeah, I think that's it. People say once you get boxing in your blood, you can't get it out, and I think that's how it's going to be with me. Maybe when I'm done fighting, I'll always be involved in it. Maybe I could do some managing or publicity with women, helping women in training or anything, just to stay around the boxing, because that's where my heart is. Yeah,
I completely agree. I completely agree. Now, I'm happy to bring this to a close. Would you like to promote any businesses or shout out Twitter or anything, any message that you'd like to send on to the fans?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody to keep supporting women's boxing. Follow me on Twitter at Ava_Knight and on Facebook.com/official Ava Knight. Women need to step up and speak up so we can get on TV. So keep helping us out.
Okay, guys, that was another Real Combat Media Radio interview with Ava Knight, the top flyweight in the world. Thank you very much. Take care till next time.
What I'd like to say is thanks to Miss Knight for coming on the radio. Dee, she made a good point about women boxers not getting a fair shake in the USA. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So what you going to use your laptop for?
Dee?
Hello? Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
Okay, Dee.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Dee. What do you make of Ava Knight? Are you there, Dee?
Yes.
Oh, is that Ada? Dee? Hello, Dee? Okay, Eddie, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, we've lost Dee momentarily. What I'd like to say to you, Eddie, is she made a point about women's boxing not getting a fair shake and not getting the exposure it deserves. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that because, it's like everything. I believe in all sports, the problem with women, they don't get as much exposure as the men. People, they like to watch men watch, I guess, because they're stronger, faster. But women, they also switch their lives in the ring. I believe they should get the same exposure as men do.
Okay, we're gonna give Dee a call directly, and then we're gonna give Keith Thurman his weight in for us.
Okay.
Dee?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are we all here, Edda? Edda?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're all here. I'm going to give Keith Thurman a call. He's ready and waiting for us. He had a great win on the same card as Bernard Hopkins, making history, and I'm sure he's got a lot to say. We spoke to him before the fight, and he had a lot to say, and now he's had a great performance against a tough fighter. Let's give him a call.
Okay.
This is Keith. I'm not here to take your call right now. Please call back up.
Okay, he must have just received a call. We've contacted him off the air, and we know that he's ready to take the call. We're going to give it another try in 5 minutes. What I'd like to do meantime is I'd like to give some fixtures for upcoming fights in the next weekend. On March the 15th, in Lincoln, Rhode Island, we have two former contenders facing off at the light heavyweight limit of 175, where Walter Wright takes on Peter Manfredo. In London, we have a 10-round heavyweight bout as Max Skelton takes on John McDermott. On March the 16th, we have, on the Timothy Bradley card, we also have the 23-year-old undefeated welterweight prospect Jesse Vargas taking on the fellow undefeated Australian fighter Will Omatoso in Carson, California. In Cancun, Mexico, the talented young 140-pound fighter Pablo Cesar Cano takes on Manuel Lopez in a 10-round bout, and Panama hosts the IBF Junior Flyweight World Championship between John Riel Casimiro and Luis Alberto Rios. Now, also, if you'd like to make a charitable donation to RCM Feed the Poor, then go on www.realcombatmedia.com and follow the link to RCM Feed World Hunger. The post-harvest project provides aid to the deprived areas in terms of technologies to help the fisheries and farms so they can yield and harvest more food to feed the poor. Now, let me get Dee and Eddie back on the air. Dee?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're going to give him a call in 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah. Hopefully he should be ready by then.
Yeah, I didn't get your opinion on Ava Knight. What do you make of women's boxing as a whole? Do you watch a lot of women's boxing, Dee?
I'm not, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. But if it's on, I watch it. And it's sad that these women put hard work, blood, sweat, and tears just like men. And they don't get that fair shake as men do. Why? Because maybe they're not as exciting. They don't have extremely, super athleticism like men and don't have that power. But you have to appreciate what they do. I mean, we know boxing is a tough sport, man. I mean, you need to be dedicated. I mean, just to fight one round, you have to be in phenomenal shape. Just imagine 8 rounds, 9, 10 rounds. And these are women, They're not as strong as men, but they put in that work. And, fortunately, they just don't get the recognition. I know before they used to put them on undercards of pay-per-view fights. We don't even see that anymore.
Yeah, well, she made a good point, and we discussed it in the interview. The European women seem to get a much better go of it than the American fighters. The American fighters get pushed to the side if they're women. You get the likes of Cecilia Brackhaus, who signed up to Sauerland, one of Europe's top promoters. But what do you make of women in boxing and women in sport in general, Dee? Do you reckon it reflects some sort of wider societal problem with women?
Once again, I just think that it comes down to athleticism. And what I mean by that is, Americans want excitement. Not saying women are not excited. Let me give you an example. In NBA basketball, you have men throwing a 40-foot alley-oop, guy catches it mid-air, dunks it backwards. I mean, you're not going to see that in the female basketball game. You understand? And the same thing in boxing. You got some exciting female fighters, but you're not going to get, them fighters like, a Brandon Rios female kind of fighter, or let's even say, a Bernard Hopkins female kind of fighter. And I'm not saying by age, I'm just talking about styles. So it's just people want excitement. And I just think that females, in general, the outlook, not saying me, the outlook of the American, perception of female sports is that it's just not as exciting as as male sports. That's my opinion. That's why I get a lot from people.
Yeah, what's going on, y'all? What's good with it?
I agree with you to a degree there, Dee. And it seems that the only sport where women get close to a fair shake is tennis for some reason. It surprises me because, especially in boxing, they do the hours in the gym. It's not easier for women to train than it is for men. If anything, women have a lot more to deal with. A lot of female boxers have had children and they've got families, so they have a lot of pressure. And for them to come in the ring, they deserve the respect and the credit that the men deserve. And if they reach the top of the sport, people deserve to know about it, because you get, as Ava Knight said, you get guys that get given a free meal ticket even before they've fought anybody. They're known across the world even before they've beat anyone good. And you'll agree with me on this, Dee, that surely a woman world champion and number one in the division should have much more credit than someone who's on the way up but hasn't really beat anybody good.
Yes, definitely. I agree 100% on that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to call Mr. Thurman one more time. I believe that he's ready for us.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Thurman. This is John Campbell, and you're on Real Combat Media Radio. How's it going?
All's going well. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very glad to have you on your show. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Dee, and also a friend of mine, Edna.
Keith Thurman, what's going on, man? How you feeling, boxing maniac?
I'm feeling great, man. Great to be on the show.
Oh, man, thanks for coming on, man. very excited to have you on.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we got you on the show last time, Mr. Thurman, and now you've won. So, congratulations on winning the fight. Are you currently in a state of resting?
Definitely, just resting, recovering, just soaking it all in, just another win, another victory. We stay in defeat, feeling good.
Mm-hmm. Now, that was your third appearance on HBO, I believe. Is it starting to feel like home to you? Do you see yourself having a long career with HBO?
Definitely, man. HBO has just always been my life and my dream, and to be performing and put on good shows, getting good feedback. I'm just honored and blessed, man. Just glad to do it.
Mm-hmm. What do you make of the cast at HBO? Do you like, obviously, Larry Merchant before he retired, Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman? Do you get on with these guys pretty well?
Yeah, man. Their whole team, their whole group. I mean, just a great set of people. Like I said, man, I feel honored to be on that stage.
Mm-hmm. You had a really good performance on Saturday on the undercard of not on the undercard. There's the co-main feature of Bernard Hopkins. Are you completely satisfied with your performance, or are there things to take out of it?
Each fight technically has its pros and its cons, and for me, it would be nice to just have that knockout, add that extra knockout into the career, but it did feel good going 12 rounds, and just having that in the bag, showing everybody that I can do it, just knowing that I can do it and that I'd be the ex-world champion. It was a good fight, man. It was a great fight, good learning experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that's a good point that you made. You've actually gone 12 rounds for the first time, so you've ticked a lot of boxes, and you've gone from the prospect to a contender overnight, basically. You can no longer be spoke as a prospect anymore because you've arrived on the scene, and you're here to stay for a long time, in my opinion. Towards the end of the fight, you did seem composed, and you didn't seem too bothered about getting the knockout, but now you've just mentioned that. Was it on your mind at the end of the fight? Was you sort of thinking, I need to get this guy out of here?
It was always floating around in the back of my head during the fight. Zaveck just has a really tight defense. I was just looking for him to loosen up a little bit, slip up a little bit, and he was just tight on his game. And, obviously the dude's never been knocked out for a reason. Just well guarded and a very tough, stubborn dude.
Yeah, he has got a really good defense, and this is something that made me think he'd last longer than a few rounds with you, but I weren't quite sure that it'd go 12 rounds. Now, let's look forward, of course. Now, we all know the conversation that you had with Mr. Malignaggi, the WBA welterweight champion, in a press conference. Is this a genuine fight that you think could happen very soon, or are you looking for any of them? Is he just one of many names?
He's someone out there, he's got a belt right now, I'm still belt hungry. I haven't gotten that world title yet. And, I was in his home city, and I just wanted him to know that, I'm on the rise and that I'll take out anybody in my path. I thought it was a good conversation. He answered my question pretty good, and, it was good. In the future, we'll see what happens. I think he's going to end up mixing up with Broner, and really, he's got to hold on to that belt. He's got to hold on to that belt because that's what I'm coming after is that belt. So if he loses that belt, we might not even talk about him anymore.
Yeah, well, of course, you answered my next question for me. That was, would you be interested in Malignaggi should he lose the title? But we'll move on from that. Now, Malignaggi said, as you pointed out, that he was speaking about money, and he said, well, I'm not interested in fighting you until you bring the big money. Presuming that you bring the big money in a fight or two's time, some point at the end of the year, presuming that Malignaggi keeps his belt, do you think that he is willing to fight you? Because he has fought a lot of good fighters. Are you confident that Malignaggi was genuine when he spoke about money?
I hope so, man, because that's what the whole purpose of the conversation was for me, was to figure out how do I get him inside of the ring. And he said to bring more money. So after that, okay, as long as the money's there, when the money's there, because I'm on the rise, you know, will you take the fight? Don't dodge me, don't dodge me, don't do anything. Just accept the fight. The money's offered, take the fight. I mean, so we'll see, man. The world boxing is a great and interesting sport, and, you know, we'll just see what comes, what plays out.
No, of course, this new revelation between Broner and Malignaggi has created a situation for you personally where you're going to get a chance to potentially fight Adrian Broner for a world title at welterweight, like you'd wish to, but a lot sooner than you would have thought. You would have thought that he'd be a few years away from fighting at welterweight at 147. Now, is this a fight that you'd really get sink your teeth into?
You know, we're ready for anything, man. Broner, great fighter. You know, it's obvious. It's been obvious that he's gonna move up in the weight classes. His jump right now, a lot of people think is really quick. But we'll see what he does for that time too. You know, we'll see if he even stays at welterweight or if he's just belt hopping. You know, we'll see what happens.
Mhm. Now, before we move on, that was the WBO welterweight title eliminator that you fought for Timothy Bradley's belt. Now, Timothy Bradley's got a routine fight against Provodnikov coming up this weekend. Now, are you going to be watching that closely?
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching that with some friends. It's an interesting fight. You know, it's the title that we're going after. So I'll be tuned in and be interesting to watch Timothy Bradley back in action. See what happens.
Okay, I'm going to thank you, Mr. Thurman. It's great to speak to you once again. I'm going to pass you on to my co-host, Boxing Maniac. How's it going, Maniac?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, Keith, how you feeling this evening?
I feel great, man.
Yeah, that's good, man. First, just want to congratulate you on your win. I was actually there live in Brooklyn, being that I live in the Bronx. So, you know, I was there live, man. You did your thing, man. You answered a lot of questions, including myself. That, you know, I wanted to see you go the distance. How would you look? Were you going to fatigue? You know, and you look good. But I did notice in the fight, Zaveck was the aggressor the whole fight. I mean, what was that part of your plan to just let him come forward? Or it was just, you know, you was just going with the flow of the fight?
Well, yeah, I look over a lot of fight tape, you know, and it seemed like he had a very natural aggressiveness to him in most of his fights. So I just wanted to let him do what was natural to him because we had a plan for that, you know, and it pretty much worked. You know, I felt like I probably should have pressed in a few more times, especially certain moments that I felt like, you know, he felt the body shots. But, you know, it's just a lesson learned. You know, it's that fight time. You got to make critical decisions. And, you know, overall, we put on a good show. So good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, you also show you can box. You know, you was known as, you know, as this bulldozer coming up, you know, a fighter that's going to put you out early. But you show, hey, listen, if I can't knock you out, I'll box you as well. Do you think this is going to scare future opponents from stepping in that ring with you?
It doesn't really matter to me, you know. I mean, somebody's going to fight me, you know. There's always somebody out there willing to take a fight. I mean, it's boxing, man. That's the name of the game. It's the name of the game. I had over 100 fights in the amateurs. You know, we were really close to being the Olympian in 2008. And, you know, boxing is the game. I mean, we've been knowing how to box. You know, I mean, I just don't play. You know, if you don't belong in the ring with me, I'm going to take you out. That's just how it is. That's bottom line, you know. I mean, if you know what you're doing and you're a little crafty, then we'll put on a show. And we'll still win on points anyway. So, I mean, get used to not knowing what's going to happen, man. That's key time, just so that you know that. You know, get used to not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, man, definitely. Now, we know this was a welterweight fight. You fought at junior middleweight. Now, which way do you feel most comfortable at, Thurman? At 147 or 154, it doesn't matter. Whatever opportunity comes first, you're gonna take it.
Well, right now we like 147. We really don't have a problem making the weight class. The main reason why we jumped up was to just find a respectable name because we weren't getting any good shots at welterweight. To the Quintana fight, we got some recognition, and we were able to get a respectable fight, back down to my weight class. So, easily for this whole year, I'll be at welterweight. I don't know when I'll be hopping back up, but, I feel good. I feel good in the ring, baby, so we'll see what happens, man. It's all one fight at a time.
Definitely. So, me, I like to be, straightforward, man. I want to know who you want next, Keith Thurman. I know the typical answers, whoever my managers put there, my promoters, but I want to know, there's always that one fighter a fighter has in his back of his mind that says, I want to fuck him up. I want to damage his face. I want to break him apart. I know there's a fight in the back of your head you're looking at, and I want to know who's that fighter.
Well, me personally, right now, I'm currently in a small dilemma. Everybody's fighting everybody right now. Everyone's already got a fight coming up in a month or yada yada here soon. So-and-so's going to fight this guy. Even Madonna, who ducked me already, he's busy fighting somebody else, so we can't even put that fight together. Let's see. I would say just because of who I don't know has a fight coming up, I'll take Victor Ortiz if he wants to step back in the ring. I think he's a great fighter.
Hell yeah. Shit. That definitely.
So, you want me to throw a name out there personally that I think is good for me and the fans, everybody, the whole world of boxing? Victor Ortiz. Let's see what happens.
All right. And if y'all step in the ring together, how you see that fight playing out?
Well, someone's going to sleep. I mean, Victor's history, my history, somebody's got to go on that one, man. That's my opinion.
I like that. I mean, that's a matchup everybody love, man. The fans win right there. True action-packed fighters that's going to bring it all the way. Now, you said, I just mentioned a little while ago about the weight. You said 147, y'all feel good. 154 is not a problem. But where do you see yourself maxing out in the future? I know you're young. Do you see yourself maybe at 160 or 168, maybe maxing out?
Shoot, maxing out 160 for sure. If I'm in the ring at 160, man, I hope that's age 32 and beyond. And I might not even be up in the ring by then, man. We're trying to create a good career for ourselves. You know what I mean? Grab a belt and hold on to it for a long time. But hey, man, we'll see, man. I would like to be 147 and 154. If I could end my career on those numbers, and definitely make a name for myself, do my thing in my prime years, then I'd be good.
All right. Cool. Now, also, man, it's cool because I want to, if you don't mind me asking, Thurman, I mean, how was your childhood growing up? You got this real, laid back demeanor, but you also got this ruggedness in you. I mean, I saw it in that press conference with Paulie. I mean, how was it growing up in Florida for you?
It was good, man. I mean, I just was in, I've been in the gym ever since I was 7 years old. Been in I learned how to fight in my neighborhood, man. In my neighborhood, I would say it's a hood, but it's just not, it ain't the worst, but it's not the best, There's nothing to it. It kind of makes you a little tough, especially if you was like me and you wanted to go wherever you wanted to go, what I mean? I walk down the street, I do this, I do that, I'll be back, tell moms I'll be back, I'll run around doing whatever I wanted, man, and boxing gave me that direction for sure.
Definitely, man. I know.
We got that little rugged mentality that, life wasn't too hard on the brother, man. It's all good,
All right, man. So it was not raised in the projects kind of, you wasn't out there shooting people, because, I know how it is. It's rough on a lot of people, So, I mean, I see, man. Hey. So boxing saved your life pretty much.
It gave me something to do, man, It was constantly in the gym. Trainer telling you to stay off the street. Trainer telling you to stay away from the girls, This tournament, that tournament, it was just work, man. It's been work from the beginning, and we're still working right now, just trying to make it to the top.
Yeah. So how's the love right now you getting now in your hometown, man? They're going to name Avenue after you, man, Keith Thurman Drive or what? Or that's wait till you get the world champion, man, then you get that.
It's pretty funny, though. One of my running routes, we got a road, it's called Prospect. So I'll be running down Prospect Boulevard or whatever, We put in my road work. And, we got that Prospect of the Year last year. That was pretty decent. But, man, the love is good, man. I'm getting mad love here locally and just all over, man. I just appreciate all my fans, man, people who are recognizing me and just backing me in my dreams and my beliefs, man. Like I said, man, we're just moving forward one step at a time.
Yeah, that's good, man. Well, that's it for me, man, Keith Thurman. I appreciate your time, man. All I tell you, stay humble and stay hungry. And, you keep working on the boxing skills, man. You're going to be a dangerous-ass fighter. You already are, but, that power with some boxing skills, dudes is going to have problems, man. So, you have a good evening, man. And, if you have any social media, Twitter or Facebook or whatever where the fans could reach you at, man, you can shout that out.
Just hit me up on Facebook, Keith Thurman Jr., and check out my website, KeithThurman.com.
That's great, Mr. Thurman, and we do thank you once again for your time. We've got your number. We'll be in contact when you next sign your fight, and I'm sure you'll be glad to come and pop on again and speak about it, hopefully for a world title.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
great.
Now, take care, and have a good time till next time.
You too. God bless.
Okay, Keith Thurman, everyone, the Real Combat Media 2012 Prospect of the Year, and he is really good now. I think he has ticked a few boxes. I'm sure that you're going to say, D, that he's not beat anyone in the top tier like A class, so he's not completely convinced you, but he's a good fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Keith Thurman. Look, like I told him, I said you answer questions even for me. I wanted to see him box. We knew what kind of fighter he was. He was come forward. He had a lot of power. Well, in this fight, he was able to show some boxing skills along with his stamina, and it's very important that as you fight more elite competition, you're not going to knock them out. So what you're going to have to do, your stamina has to be great, and your boxing skill has to be above average to become a world champion. And he showed that, and he's only going to get better. He's still green, so I'm really looking forward to him, his next fight. I love how he called out Victor Ortiz, man. I think that's a great fight, and a fight that only the fans win. Does Victor Ortiz take that fight? That's the question.
Yo, you guys hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Hello?
Yo, you guys can hear me? This is Dream.
Who's this? Oh, the Dream. What's going on, Dream, man?
What's going on, man? Cool, man. I mean, your boy John. How you doing, man, John?
Yeah, I'm good, Dream. Let me just mention a sponsor. We've got a Real Combat Media. Save people from Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy devastated many lives on the east coast of America, and it caused tons of damage. Go on www.realcombatmedia.com and click on the link to make a charitable donation and help people's lives and make it easy after a devastating earthquake. Now, what do you make of Keith Thurman, Dream?
Keith Thurman is definitely a very good prospect. You know, I want to congratulate you guys for having him on the show, and I want to congratulate, you know, my friend, Boogie Down Sean, a good friend of mine, for you know, having the privilege of speaking to an up-and-coming fighter who's been on the world stage. I know this is a dream of his to do, and mine as well. So, you know, if he make it, I made it, you know, and I'm glad that he's able to do this and that you guys got him on here interviewing world-class fighters. Keith Thurman, man, he looks better every time out. To me, he looks better and better, man. I mean, you know, against the other guy he fought before Quintana, he was very raw. Against Quintana, he showed more boxing skill. He was a little more polished, but he was still chasing, and he wasn't using his jab how I would have liked him to. In this fight, he was closing the distance much better than the last fight. So I see improvement every time he's out, man, and you know, if he keeps that up, you know, that means that next fight he should be able to compete with an elite fighter. And as far as him calling out Victor Ortiz, that's a terrific fight. But if I'm Victor Ortiz, that's not a comeback fight at all. You got to take something a little lighter before you get in the ring with a devastating puncher like Keith Thurman.
Yeah, but being in the position that Victor Ortiz is in, would you not agree that, like, he might feel a bit desperate to get back into this big time and feel that risk needs to be took, and this is a fight that could very, very potentially happen?
Well, you got to understand that Victor Ortiz is a golden boy, and Victor Ortiz is very loved by Oscar De La Hoya. So I think the Oscar's going to take care of him regardless, and it's going to give him a chance to ease his way back. You know, because he was kind of considered the Canelo or the Golden Boy at one point, you know, that they wanted to project as maybe the next Oscar De La Hoya. So Oscar got a lot of love for him, you know. So I think that you know, a comeback fight is the way to go. I mean, you talking about you just got your jaw broke. Keith Thurman's not the guy you should fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. And what I will say is Golden Boy is very good for taking care of fighters, especially when they get beat. Eddie, are you there?
Yes.
Eddie, what would you like to say about Keith Thurman? If you'd like to talk about the fight, talk about the fight. What have you got to say?
I believe, you know, Keith Thurman is a very, very strong fighter. He's not a contender. I mean, he's not a prospect anymore. I think he's a top contender right now. I don't think he'll get a title shot soon because I think he'll be very, very avoided. But based on the Zaveck fight, it showed that he's up there as a top contender. And he showed a lot of boxing skill. But I believe that, you know, fight with Victor Ortiz will be a very good fight for him, and recognition, because if he's able to beat Victor Ortiz, I'll boost him up even more.
Okay, thank you very much. What I will say is that he's shown a big excess in skill over Jan Zaveck, an ex-world champion. I thought Quintana posed stylistic problems against Keith Thurman, and he completely blew me out of the water in one round. He put him down, and he chased after him for the other 3 rounds, and it was only due to Quintana being in survival mode that he lasted as long as he did. I believe Keith Thurman's going to be a world champion and a very, very good world champion. I believe he's a genuine fighter, and when he says that he's willing to fight the best, and he's willing...
Hello?
Yeah, John fell off, I think. I don't know.
All right. That's all right. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just eager to see who Keith Thurman is going to fight in the future. You know, he's a promising contender. We understand that he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better as a fighter. He shows improvement. That's what you want to see from a fighter like that. You want to see improvement. You understand? And he's showing that. And he seems real humble. He doesn't seem, you know, real cocky, which is nothing wrong with being cocky neither. If you want to feel cocky, hey. But he's humble. He understands that he still has a lot to accomplish before he could get where he wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one thing I did like that John mentioned was that that he seems genuine and wanting to fight the best fighters. And he already said it, man. He said that he's not afraid to let his old go. And I think that statement, man, says a lot about him, man. And I love a fighter like that, man. He just wants to get better and prove that he's the best. And he knows that an undefeated record doesn't define him, but what defines you as a fighter is who you fight and how you do against them. You know, if you got talent, your talent is only talent if it's proven against other talent, and he's willing to do that.
Yeah, definitely, man. John, you there now?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right. I just want to make sure. Now, go ahead, John. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it. I was just going to apologize that the phone got cut off.
Man, it's all right, man. We understand. You know, you probably got, you know, some models over and they messing with you while you're on your show, but it's okay, man.
No, not yet.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, you know, let me say, we already know Keith Thurman. So far, so good, man, and that's what we want to see. And I'm looking forward to his next fight. You understand? But you know, there was other fights. There was the main event of that card, and we spoke briefly about it in the beginning of the show, John. But now I really want to get into it. You know,
let's go. Let's put Keith Thurman to bed for now. Let's talk about Bernard Hopkins. Let me in the
Bernard Hopkins, Tavares Cloud. Let's just think about it. You know, I just want people to let it simmer in. Bernard Hopkins is 48 years old. I don't care who's he fighting, the fighter that fits his style. The guy is 48 years old. The reason why this guy is fighting at this age, fighters need to, you know, no disrespect to no fighters. You got fighters that look up to Floyd Mayweather. But Bernard Hopkins is the fighter you need to look up to. How can you need to say, how can I fight that long? Even if you don't, how can I keep my body in this kind of shape? Where let's say if I do want to fight till I'm 48, I could look like this. This guy put on a masterful performance against a young lion. And people on Twitter had the nerve to say that the only reason Bernard Hopkins won was because the style matchup. Well, okay, we could say Cloud, kind of come forward fighter, not too active. But hey, this guy is strong as an ox. You figure he could outwork a 48-year-old. But this is what Hopkins did once again. But people don't seem to realize that, man. Give this guy his credit. Bernard Hopkins is a legend. And I know a lot of people's going to disagree with me, but to me, Bernard Hopkins is the best fighter of this era. Even with his losses, just look what he's doing, man. 48 years old, winning the world freaking championship against a young, tough fighter. Oh, he lost to Javier Campillo. All right, let's take this into consideration. In the first round of that fight, Campillo got dropped 2 times. 2 times by Cloud. It looked like it was over. Cloud didn't even snap Hopkins back 1 time in this fight. And Hopkins is 48. Give this guy his just due. You understand? Give him his just due. Hate him or like him, you must respect what he did on Saturday. And I was there live to witness it. And I could say it was a beautiful thing to watch. Something that we might not never see again in this sport. What was your thoughts, John?
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely sensational. I expected Bernard Hopkins to win, but it still ridiculously surprised me when he did. He won about 9-3. And the rounds that he lost were rounds that he pretty much had the ebb and flow of the round. He still won on ring generalship every second of every round. It's just the rounds that he lost were rounds that he'd maybe get caught up on the rope. So a couple of big identifiable shots would land by Cloud, and you couldn't really give Bernard Hopkins a round basically on that merit. But we talk about guys who we look up to. We talk about motivational guys, and you look at the best. You look at the guy who wins everything. You look at Floyd Mayweather. You look at Michael Jordan in basketball. You look at Tiger Woods in golf. But let's wait a second. Bernard Hopkins isn't the most naturally gifted fighter ever. In fact, he's out of all the light heavyweights currently in the division, he might not be in the top 5 naturally gifted ever. He spent a long time in prison, and he's rugged and he's tough, and that scores him a lot of points. But he didn't let that limit his game, just being a brawler and being a dogfighter, because he realised that you'd get to a level where you have to think, and he thinks he is an absolute boxing professor. He'll say there'll be another Floyd Mayweather in the world. There'll be another Roy Jones. There'll even be another Mike Tyson. But I'll tell you this, in my lifetime and in anybody else's lifetime, there will not be another Bernard Hopkins that graces this earth in boxing. He's an absolute genius. And I'd love to hear him speak. He's so wise. He knows the sport. He's ridiculously logical. And when he fights like he's not the most exciting fighter, but he excites me because I'm excited by greatness. He slows down the fight to get the very, very best of everything that he's learned. And I learned this for myself. I box amateur, and I'm not a naturally gifted boxer. I'm reasonably athletic, but I'm not a naturally gifted boxer. But I always give myself credit, because when you're naturally gifted with something, you could take it for granted and throw it away like we saw many fighters do. I wouldn't like to mention names. But also, when you're not naturally gifted and you have to learn it and put extra work in to learn it, you don't lose it. And Bernard Hopkins takes care of himself brilliantly. He's a complete gym rat still at the age. And if you look at him, if you actually look at his physique and look at his waist and his shoulders and the fact that he's not got a scrap of fat on him, at 48, it's absolutely sensational. He is timeless. And people say age is just a number. But no, when we're talking about elite level prize fighting, this guy, age is definitely a factor.
Yeah. And now, like I spoke to you off air, I said that there's a fight that I want Hopkins to fight in the UK. And you mentioned Cleverly, you mentioned Bellew, you mentioned names, and I said no. Now, this is the fighter that I would love to see Hopkins fight next. Now, this fighter's never fought at 175. But it can happen. I know they could find the catch weight, because in his last fight, he was going to fight at a light heavyweight catch weight. He has a big fight coming up. His name is Carl the Cobra Froch. Just imagine Carl Froch, right? Beats Kessler. Knocks him out. Says, you know what? I'm going to go up to 173, 174, maybe 173 if Hopkins can make it, and have Hopkins come to the UK for a humongous fight against Carl Froch. Why I picked Froch? One, he's for everybody. He ducks nobody. We know that. He's willing to fight the best of the best. Two, he's for everyone at 168, including Andre Ward. A rematch is big, but you can't tell me it's bigger than the Bernard Hopkins fight, especially what Hopkins just did right now. They will have to fight this fight at a soccer stadium. It'll be humongous, and Carl Froch will not be losing anything. He'll go up to fight for Hopkins' belt. If he loses, he go back to 168 and he have the title. So it's a win-win for him. What do you say about that?
I say, wow, D. When you suggested that Hopkins was fighting a British fighter, I said, oh, clever. And then you said no. And I said, Tony Bellew. And you said no. And I even said George Groves before I thought of Carl Froch. I didn't think of Carl Froch, and what a great fight that would be. You're right, if Carl Froch beats Mikhail Kessler, he's done everything he can at super middleweight. He will not beat Andre Ward. I'd respect him greatly if he took a rematch with Andre Ward, but I think even if Carl Froch was to be honest with himself, he knows that Andre Ward's different gravy, and Carl Froch is a great fighter. He's an elite level fighter. He's an A-class fighter in every department, but there's greatness, and then there's all-time greatness. Andre Ward is an absolute brilliant fighter. Would that be a great fight? Of course it would. It would be two conflicting styles. Carl Froch is looking to drag him into a fight. Bernard Hopkins is looking to slow the pace down, and he slows the pace down against the best of Tavoris Cloud was throwing 30 less punches on average per round. Now, if you're throwing 30 less punches, half of the punches that he did throw are so far away from Hopkins, based on his defence and his ring generalship and his just complete ring craft, that most of them aren't even convincing shots that he's throwing. He's making him look stupid. A few punches that I saw missed Hopkins' head by a good 2 meters, and when you're throwing a punch and you're a professional world champion boxer and you're missing a guy's head by 1.5 meters, that's special. Now, I cannot pick a winner. I would say Hopkins has the edge, but you can't rule out Carl Froch. Carl Froch could try his best to get some work in early and maybe allow it to work interest for him later on in the fight, but it's difficult to rule out Hopkins. I'd give Hopkins a 20-30% chance of winning a rematch with Chad Dawson, and we've already saw Dawson beat him.
Yeah, I think that's just stylistically, it's a bad matchup for Bernard Hopkins. And he doesn't need to fight a rematch with Dawson, so that's the good thing. Not that I really don't want, I just think Chad Dawson beats Hopkins again. It's just the kind of, it's just, like I said, stylistically, it doesn't bode well for Hopkins. Chad Dawson against Hopkins is a matchup nightmare. And right now, I don't think that's where the money is. Hopkins, he want money. And nobody can tell me that Carl Froch and Hopkins is not big money fight in the UK. Holy crap. And that's what I'm saying. It's about money. And you got to look at it through every angle. Carl Froch is a win-win once again. If he loses to Hopkins, hey, you lost to Hopkins. You still got a belt at 168. There's always a rematch for Ward there. Like you said, Ward will beat him again. But, hey, that might be the fight where the money will be. He could take that. There's also up-and-coming fight, like George Groves at 168, up-and-coming. I know they got, Miguel. I mean, these guys are still green for Froch. I think Froch run through them, but they still got these fighters coming up. Unless, he fights Pascal again. They first fight was a hell of a fight that Carl Froch pulled off. You understand? So I just think right now, I think it's just a fight that Carl Froch could get a lot of money for in his hometown and be able to be a champion in 2 divisions. So why not risk it? You understand? And I think Carl Froch, he'll be more aggressive than Tavares Cloud. And we know his chin is like cement, boy. Carl Froch has that cement chin. So it's interesting, man. It's a fight that I'm not saying that must happen, but I'm just saying when you look at it, it makes sense financially. It makes sense because Carl Froch was going to fight at 173 against Yusuf Mack, but I don't know exactly why it ended up being at the super middleweight. And it's just a huge fight, man. It's just a huge fight that makes sense. Froch is arguably right now the best UK fighter. No, it's not even arguably. He is the best UK fighter right now. And, Bernard Hopkins is right now, the most probably popular fighter in boxing is, because of what he's done at his age. We understand the Floyd Mayweathers and Broner, but right now, Hopkins is a hot commodity. So if Froch beats Kessler, why not say, yo, I want Hopkins. I want to fight for his belt. Tell him to come to UK. We'll do it. Big money. Let's make it happen. USA versus UK. Let's do it.
Now, I spoke to you off the air and told you exactly what I'd be willing to do should Bernard Hopkins fight in the UK. There's not a lot that I wouldn't do to witness Bernard Hopkins fight in the UK and actually see the guy in the flesh, actually master his craft and actually demonstrate it. What I will say is that I was thinking either Pascal Boutte or Nathan Cleverley, the winner of Pascal Boutte or Nathan Cleverley. A fight with Boutte does not interest me. Bernard Hopkins will win every second of every round. Hopkins will beat Boutte more convincingly than he beat Cloud. He'd win 11-1 or 10-2. Pascal would be reasonable, but I've already saw that happen. I don't really want to see that again. I'd like to see him unify against Nathan Cleverley because I think that would encourage him to continue more. But I read an article which said that he's able and willing to move down to 168 should the action be good. And 168 is a reasonably good division, I'd say. In fact, no, I'd say I'd say it's got 4 really good world champions at 168, which many divisions don't have. I'd say if he'd be willing to go down and try and become a freeweight world champion against Carl Froch or against Mikhail Kessler, which should one of them win, that would probably be the biggest money fight for Hopkins available at the moment. And I think you should go for that. That's a very good suggestion. Is there any other names you'd like to throw out there for Hopkins?
Yeah. A fight like you said, with Cleverly, he could unify the titles. Cleverly's from the like you said, the Kawasaki camp. He throws a bunch of punches, punches and bunches. He'll make Hopkins work a lot. He'll make Hopkins work. It'll be an interesting fight. It's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing. If his next fight happens to be Nathan, hey, let's make it happen. It's a huge fight in the UK as well. But we know Hopkins, some people were saying maybe Hopkins moves up the cruiserweight. But I wouldn't want to see him in cruiserweight. There's not really big name, big money fight for him there. And right now, for him, the big money fight is going to be UK fighters. Cleverly, Froch. A Boucher fight will be a decent money fight, in Canada. But like you said, I wouldn't want to see it. I mean, if it happens, hey. But it's a total mismatch. Boucher, Hopkins will make him look like a joke. And who knows, he might make Froch look like a joke. But I just think Froch, it's just something in him, man, that he's definitely going to make Hopkins work, man. It'll be a good fight. And we know why Cleverly brings to the table, man. This guy, I think in the sleeps he throw punches. So that'll be interesting.
Now, before we move on, we can talk more about this, but I'd like to give you the upcoming fixtures for the next weekend besides those that we're going to talk about. On March 21st at London, we've got Billy Joe Saunders versus Matthew Hall. A 12-round contest for Billy Joe Saunders' British and Commonwealth middleweight titles, a very young up-and-comer, and he looks to be causing a rumble on the world scene if you don't already know him. Billy Joe Saunders, I believe he's Commonwealth gold medalist. You've got super middleweight contender Donovan George fighting David Lopez at Chicago on March the 22nd on ESPN in a 10-round contest. Adonis Stevenson, the Canadian fighter, fights on Welsh TV in Montreal against Darnell Boone in a rematch in a 10-round super middleweight contest. Heavyweight action in Berlin, Orlando Solis versus Leif Larson, a 12-round bout. Selçuk Aydin makes a quick return, a very, very quick return actually, only a few weeks since his fight against Cesar Soto Carrassi, in which he got beat. He fights an 8-round junior welterweight contest against Giuseppe Lori of Italy, I believe, guessing by the name. Jonathan Gonzalez fights Joseph Rios in a 10-round flyweight contest in Trujillo Alto, Puerto Rico on the Unimas network. Also, on March 23rd, a fight which I'm looking forward to, the rematch on Epix TV in Magdeburg, Germany, for the WBO WBO super middleweight title. Arthur Abraham takes on the rematch of Robert Stieglitz. And fair play to Arthur Abraham for taking this fight, because Robert Stieglitz came to Arthur Abraham's territory of Berlin to fight for defend his world title, and now Arthur Abraham's giving him a second chance, another chance to win the world title, going to his hometown. In Kent, in England, we've got James DeGale, the Olympic gold medalist from Beijing, who you just mentioned, fighting Alexander Brand in a 12-round contest. On the same card, we've got the son of the legendary Chris Eubank Jr., fights a to-be-announced opponent in an 8-round middleweight contest. Got a lot of action coming up. But would you like to continue to talk about Hopkins briefly, or would you like to move on to Timothy Bradley Day?
Yeah. Let's. I think we pretty much said what we had to say about Hopkins. We can definitely move on to this weekend's card.
Okay, we're gonna try our best to make this one quick, because we've got a pound for pound top 10 discussion, D, which I'm looking forward to. I'd like to pick your brains about that. So, yeah, Timothy Bradley, the WBO welterweight champion of the world, comes back after a long layoff since his controversial win to Manny Pacquiao. He faces Ruslan Provodnikov, and this seems to be quite a routine fight for Timothy Bradley, despite the fact that this guy's a young up and comer. But he seems unheralded, unknown, and you'd expect after a win against Pacquiao for Timothy Bradley to be raking it in. Why, first of all, do you think he's took a fight that would appear to be a tune-up? Second of all, if he's going to take a tune-up, why did he leave it so long before he took the tune-up?
Well, those are two good questions, John. When you look at it, one is that I never seen a fighter that's won a fight against another fighter and get punished like Bradley has been. The guy has been punished. Even I'll be the first to admit, Pacquiao won the fight in my eyes and to many people. So they felt it was such a robbery that they just made Bradley the enemy. It's like, forget, I don't want to see Bradley never again. It's like, come on, man. Before Pacquiao, look at Bradley's resume. This guy's just not a fighter. Bradley's an elite fighter, man. He's a top-notch pound-for-pound fighter. You understand? This guy is a real tough mother ucker, man. And for him, then what's even sad is he signed with a company like Top Rank, a powerhouse. And look, they couldn't get him another big fight. Pacquiao didn't even want the rematch with Bradley. He ended up going for a full fight with Marquez. Look what happened to Pacquiao. Now, I'm hearing that Marquez is going to be at the fight this Saturday. And he's also going to be at the fight for the Rios and Alvarado. So that kind of was good to hear. It says two things. It says, one, Marquez might be looking at a fight against Bradley or Rios, or two, he's not going to fight a fifth fight with Pacquiao. Once again, money talks. But to answer your second question, why did he take so long? I think they was really looking for somebody, of a good name. And they was just going around and they came up with Ruslan. Now, for people who are not familiar with Ruslan, he's fought on ESPN a couple of times. Tough Russian fighter. He's going to come forward, kind of phone booth fighter. Doesn't present much of a, threat to Bradley besides a puncher's chance. I mean, they got to give Bradley something. He is the world champion at 147. Why not? He has to stay busy. He got bills to pay. Plus, I want to see Bradley. I like Bradley. I wasn't mad at him because the judges gave him the fight. I was mad at the judges. He has nothing to do with that. You understand? So, I mean, hopefully he could come in this fight and win impressively, John. Make people say, holy crap. You know what? Bradley, I do want to see you again. And hopefully I can see you again with the top welterweights. Marquez. I would love to see a Bradley Marquez fight. I know a lot of people will be like, I don't want to see that fight. I would love to see it because it'll test Bradley as a young fighter against a mastermind boxer technician and the great Marquez. And we also see where Marquez stands at against a young lion in Bradley. Who's going to give him angles, not more so like, Pacquiao, who's aggressive, who, he's in and out, but more aggressive than anything. Bradley ain't going to give him that kind of fight. So it'll be interesting, man. And I hope, I'll be rooting for Bradley because he's a good guy.
Yeah, well, one thing that I will say about Bradley is a lot of people, he's not a big, massive, marquee fighter that he would be if he was the kind of Adrian Broner or Floyd Mayweather. But let's compare resumes, guys. Timothy Bradley and Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner won a vacant title, defended it once or twice, and he was having features made about him on HBO. He was getting treated like a king by HBO. Timothy Bradley isn't an exciting style. He's not works. He's not spectacular in any one department. He's no Roy Jones Jr. in terms of ability. He's no Ponce de Leon or Mike Tyson in terms of one punch power. He's not a complete knockout artist. His determination and willpower and his will to win and his gym rat mentality like Bernard Hopkins has got him where he is. And let's remind you, this guy's undefeated. We've not saw this guy tested. This guy looks really, really good against Pacquiao. And whilst we say that many believe Pacquiao won, there's a large section of people that believe Bradley won and that the decision was fair. And there's a very good chance that this guy could retire defeated. So I agree. I believe that Timothy Bradley is around 8th or 9th on the pound-for-pound top 10 list. And I believe that he's here to stay, especially after this fight. I think he's going to either win by a TKO of some sort or he's going to win every single round of this fight. And about Marquez Bradley, that's a fight that I've been talking about. And I'm shocked that you say that not many people would like to see that fight, D, because I'd love to see that fight. Marquez is my current favourite fighter, and I'll be cheering for Marquez in that fight because I love Marquez. I think he's brilliant, but what a great fight that'd be. That is one of those fights that you can't really choose. Can Marquez still keep bringing it at the age that he is against a young, hungry, undefeated lion? I would give Marquez a 60-40 edge in that fight, based solely on the fact that he's an absolute genius in there. Who would you choose? I know you said you'd be rooting for Bradley, D, but who would you choose? Would you have Marquez edging skill in this fight?
It's that we know who's the better fighter overall, which is Marquez. I think, then again, he looked like the Incredible Hulk his last fight, when he knocked out Pacquiao. So we don't know what Marquez we're gonna get now. We're gonna get the Mike Tyson Marquez, or we're gonna get the Marquez of old. I just think at this moment, Bradley's youth, he beats Marquez in a close fight. I think the speed here be the difference. And people might say, wait a minute, but look what Marquez done with Pacquiao, and we know Marquez is a keen counter fighter. I think Bradley's just a different stylistic. He brings a different kind of fight. He's going to rough up Marquez. He's going to go in there, make it a phone booth fight. He's going to fight from the outside. This is something Marquez could do as well. This is why he's so great. Marquez is not shy of a brawl. We've seen him in many brawls. And we also see him that he can outbox fighters. I just think at this stage of his career, against a fighter like Bradley, who's smart, I think people take his, ring IQ for granted. You got to understand, if that was the case, Pacquiao would have just knocked out Bradley. Pacquiao couldn't knock out Bradley. You understand? And I don't think Marquez will be able to do the same. I love Bradley. The only thing is, hopefully Bradley doesn't, hit Marquez with that big head of his and, cut him. Bradley, he's known to, the headbutt here and there. That might be something that, could be an issue in that fight if that was to happen. But if they was to fight, man, if they were fighting, let's just say they were fighting this Saturday, I'm definitely going with Bradley. But it wouldn't shock me one bit if Marquez wins. But it's a, very intriguing fight. It's stylistically, it's a boxing maniac's dream, man. Right there to see that, young lion against, the old master. So it could go either way.
Of course, and I will say that we've slightly got off topic because the fight that's coming up isn't a really sport-inspiring one. And I will like to say Marquez Bradley has 12 rounds of action written all over it. I don't see that fight going anything less than 12 rounds. I think it would go the full 12 rounds. Neither fighter would quit or stay down in the fight. I don't think there'd be many knockdowns in that fight. I think it would be a complete brawl, 12 rounds, and what a highly skilled brawl it'll be. The level of skill those guys work at, it's going to be a great fight. Would you like to make it? Oh, I'd like to. You've got 16 minutes. I'm going to discuss the top 10 pound for pound list with D. If you'd like to chuck your 2p in, as we say in England, and you'd like to give us your opinions, feel free to call 347-324-5998. Now, D, the first thing I'd like to ask you about the pound for pound list is, I believe the top 4 is straightforward. Possibly the top 5, but definitely the top 4.
Who's your top 4? Let me hear them.
Moving towards the end of last year, there was a few fights, and I went, the pound-for-pound list at the top is going to change drastically depending on these fights, regardless of the results. Pacquiao Marquez 4, Sergio Martinez, Andre Ward, Chad Dawson. Now, my top 4 pound-for-pound, and I believe this is cement. This is everyone's top 4 pound-for-pound that I've heard up to now. Very few people sway away from this. Mayweather, Ward, Marquez, Martinez.
I have no argument with that. I mean, some people might say you could flip-flop Sergio and Marquez, but it's no argument. I don't think that's a huge of an argument. Those are definitely the top 4. I mean, yeah, you can't. I know people don't. I know people don't like to really put these guys in, but you can easily put Vladimir and Vitaly up there. Now, people can say what they want. I don't care, but you have to give respect when respect is due. These guys barely lose a round. I mean, if they lost 4 rounds in the last 2 years, that's a lot. These guys straight dominate. You understand? But I understand why they're not in the top pound for pound list. Or, heavyweight, it's weak division. Who are they fighting? But whoever's the best available, they're not beating them. They destroying them. They just straight beating them. And yes, they're on the pound for pound list somewhere in the top 10. But if anybody was to put them in the top 5, Vladimir, or even a little up there, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, why not? They just look at their body of work. I mean, how many belts Vladimir has? He has about 4, 5. The guy has more belts than Sachs Fitz, man. I mean, these guys are incredible. But, that's a different argument. But go ahead.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Vladimir Klitschko is 8th on the Ring Magazine pound-for-pound list, and he is a completely dominant fighter. He's dominated the heavyweight division for not too far short of a decade, and he rarely loses a round. And he dominated David Haye. He dominates everybody. He's beat everybody. He's unified the titles besides one, which would be his if it wasn't for the fact that it was his brother's. And even if he was to fight his brother at this stage, I believe he would have every title. I believe he'll retire without losing another fight. And if anybody wants to criticise him and say, oh, he's had no opponents, he's beat nobodies, look at the heavyweight division now, and it's easy to shout about the heavyweight division and say it's a poor division, but the only reason people say it's poor is because they're comparing it to the Klitschko's, who are awesome. If you was to remove the 2 Klitschko brothers from that division, and if the Klitschko brothers had never existed, the remaining heavyweights would enjoy a lot of close fights, a lot of great unification fights, and they'd be, the winner of those fights would be classed as an awesome fighter. If the Klitschko brothers were to stay at the same level, let me try and demonstrate it to you this way. If the heavyweight division was the same, the Klitschko's were at the same level of skill, same level of capability, and same level of, ability, and the rest of the field in the heavyweight division was to move closer to them without the Klitschko's being improved, and to the point where the odd fight was a split decision win to Vladimir. He got knocked down a lot more than he does. People would say that these Klitschko's are great because they're closer fights. The fact that he dominates every minute of every round doesn't take away from Klitschko. If anything, it makes him a better fighter. The more dominant you win a fight, the better.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's me rant about the Klitschko's. Okay, I said the top 4 set in stone. I said number 5 is a bit more shaky, but Nonito Donaire, number 5.
All right. I mean, you see, the thing with Nonito, people do criticize him, but he has some tough names on his resume. He has Hernan Marquez. He gave Darchinian his first loss. He has Fernando Montiel. He has, Arce. Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. This guy has, I think it's more of a popularity thing that he's up there that high. I think beating Riggin Diao definitely will probably stamp him at number 5. You understand? But you have fighters. Let me see who's out there. Like, for example, and it could be an argument, but like I said, you could put the Klitschko, any Klitschko number 5, more Vladimir because he's the more accomplished of the brothers. Can even put Timothy Bradley number 5. Why not put him up there? He's beat Pacquiao. He's beat Devin Alexander. He went up to welterweight, beat an undefeated, and won Carlos Abrego. He dominated Lamont Peterson. He beat Kendall Holt, which he got up from a knockdown. This is a younger Holt, not a Holt he fought 1 year ago, 2 years ago. This is when Holt was Holt. Went into the UK, beat Junior Witter. This is a fighter that we can put up there. We can make the case for Bradley at a number 5 over Nonito Donaire.
Completely agree. And I personally would put Nonito Donaire there simply for the fact that he's been the number 1 in quite a few weight classes. But I completely buy the Bradley argument. Yeah, why not? He's beat all the good fighters, especially Bellanang, so that was a particularly impressive win in my opinion. Now, we've got a caller, and I'd like to see what he's got to say. No, the caller's gone. Oh, God, fair enough. He went right as my mouse went on in to let him on. Now, Manny Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao was the number 2. He was the number 1, but then after say 1 or 2 fights of Mayweather's return in 2009, starting with the win against Marquez, the Ring Magazine committee, or board as you will, decided to vote Manny Pacquiao down to number 2 and have Floyd Mayweather replace him as the number 1 once again. Where does Pacquiao fall to? He's number 7 on the Ring Magazine, behind Adrian Broner and above Vladimir Klitschko.
Now, you see, this is a tricky one. You understand? Because you look at Pacquiao, right? You say, well, he didn't look good in the 3rd fight with Marquez. And he got knocked out in the 4th fight with Marquez. Even though he was looking good before he knocked out Marquez. It was a close fight. But Pacquiao looked like he was coming on. It was not like he was looking horrible. Now, you look at these pound for pound lists. I said Bradley number 5. We can make that argument. Now, people could say, well, in 97% of people's eyes, Pacquiao beat Bradley. Pacquiao always struggles against this one fighter, Marquez. I mean, anybody else we've seen him fight, he's beaten, opposed to the first Morales fight. So we could even say, we can even put Pacquiao, at a number 5, or even up there at a number 4, replacing someone like Sergio. But it's more the business is what have you done lately business, and what Pacquiao has done lately is not look. His 3rd fight with Marquez. Many people thought Marquez got robbed, and then the last one he got knocked out. So people's like, oh, that's it, man. He's losing it. Bring him down. So I understand why he's moved down the ranks. Now, for Broner to be above Pacquiao, I think that's a little bit ludicrous, because Broner at this moment has been looking good. He's been looking spectacular in his wins, but the level of competition hasn't been nowhere near as what Pacquiao has faced. You understand? I think Broner's there more for popularity than anything. Now, Broner, we understand he might be fighting a fighter of Paulie Malignaggi. He might be, going up to 147. Now, if he goes up to 147 and let's say stops a fight of like Malignaggi, then we could definitely put him up there. I still doesn't think it's to be above Pacquiao. I mean, look at Pacquiao's body of work compared to Broner. That's how I view the pound for pound list. As of lately, you drop down. You understand? But I don't think these fighters like a Broner should be above him. I think Broner still has more to do before we can say, all right, Broner, you lead. But, I understand. When you get to a certain number of pound for pound list, like you said, is a lot of flip-flopping. You know, you can make an argument for a lot of people. I mean, shit, I guarantee most people got Adrian Broner as maybe number 5 on their pound-for-pound list. That shit wouldn't shock me one bit.
Now, what I will say about Adrian Broner is I completely agree the body of work isn't quite sufficient. Adrian Broner entered the top 10 pound for pound at number 6, and this was off the back of a win against Antonio DeMarco for the WBC lightweight title, becoming a 2-weight world champion, I believe. And yet, very impressive, he will be. And I think it's a case of, we know that he's going to be up there soon, so we may as well put him there already. But no, I don't believe it's called for. I believe if he was 94th, 10th, I'd completely agree with it. But to be ranked above Pacquiao and Vladimir Klitschko and Timothy Bradley at this stage in the game, I completely disagree with it. I think it's uncalled for, and I'm not happy with that. I believe he's. If you want a rank pound for pound solely on skill, he's arguably number 1 or number 2.
There you go. Exactly. You know, it's not. You want to rank it on, you know, there's different categories, and body of work is definitely one of them. Probably the biggest one.
Okay, I'm going to bring on to one sort of last subtopic before we wrap up because we've got 4 minutes. As quickly as you can do, sort of take around a minute. Number 10 is an interesting one. I'm going to throw 4 names at you. The ring have got Guerrero. I've got Abner Mares. Some people have got Froch, and some people have got Dawson. Take your pick. Or if you've got another one to suggest.
Wait a minute. All right. Guerrero, Mares, Froch, Dawson. That's that. You know, I like Mares, but I told you this. If he beats De Leon, he's on the list. I like Guerrero. If he beats Mayweather, he's definitely on the list. Dawson, he was after he beat Hopkins, but he lost badly. I just pushed him out. The King Cobra has to be in the pound for pound list. You understand? I mean, once again, body of work. Once again, the other thing, what have you done lately? And Froch, he destroyed an undefeated fighter in Butte. And he destroyed Yusuf Mack, which we know Yusuf Mack, you know, fringe contender. I mean, a fighter who got skills, but he was a huge underdog. Now he's going with a rematch with Kessler, arguably a fight that many felt, you know, he could have gone either way. And the only reason they felt, not that Kessler got the hometown decision, but more that since he was at his home, that close fight went to him. So I think Carl Froch is definitely number 10 and shit. If he beats Kessler and convincingly, he might have to put him a little higher than 10.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to disagree with you there. I would say it's much likely Guerrero or Mares. I choose Mares because of the skill that he demonstrates and the fact that he's moving up in weight and he won the bantamweight tournament, for example. I'd say Guerrero is the next best option because he's moved up all the way from featherweight and he's beaten tough big guys like, you know, natural welterweights like Berto, and he beat Ideen, who was an undefeated puncher. I still hold it against Froch that he got beat by Kessler, as close of a fight as it was. I believe if he avenges this loss to Kessler, he's certainly 8, 9 or 10. Dawson, I did have in my top 10, but yeah, it's not that he's been knocked down because he's been beaten by Ward. It's that in the time that he's been beaten by Ward, other fighters have caught up to him, in my opinion. Now, we've only got just over a minute left. Like, it's time to say our goodbyes, unfortunately. This has been a great show, I will say.
Hello?
Yeah, Dee, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's we've had a great show, and unfortunately, it's time to say our goodbyes.
Yeah, man. I just want to, definitely thank Eddie, man, for translating for the De Leon interview. Thanks for De Leon. Also want to thank Keith Thurman for coming on the show. And also I want to thank, the Dominican Dream for calling up. And I'm showing support, man. And once again, a great show, John, and let them know when is our next show.
Our next show will be next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please do tune in. You'll be able to find us on www.realcombatmedia.com. You can also find the RCM store, where you can buy a range of products such as the Elevation Mask, hemp protein, and instructional videos. Type in Real Combat Media when prompted. You'll receive 10% off all RCM store goods. You can like me, John Campbell, at Twitter, or at BoxingJohnUK, and D is also Bundy.
Yeah, you can follow me. It's the Boxing Maniac. You can follow me at Boogie Down Sean. That's SHON. And you already know, man. I respond to everybody. Don't be a stranger. Boxing Maniacs. Boxing John UK. Another great show. Looking forward to Monday to kill it again. And you have a good evening.
We've had two world champions and a future world champion. Great show. Take care. Bye-bye for now.